Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatishtarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada Jai.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guruji.
Appreciate Mataji. Yeah, so if you are in a position to read today, please raise your hand, then I can rest accordingly.
I can, Prabhuji.
Yeah, okay, so we can start with you, and then Manjurada Mataji had raised her hand as well. Is then Padma Mataji as well. Okay, so good. Let me just go back. Okay, so we are doing the top summaries from the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are discussing the story of Bharat Maharaj in the last session. So this is what we had discussed. So Bharat Maharaj, lost his human body and became deer. And after giving up the deer body, then he became, he took birth in a family of Brahmana. But this time he was very, very careful not to mingle with anyone, and voluntarily, knowingly, he was acting as if he were a fool, just to so that he doesn't want to deviate from the main path. Yeah, so internally he was deeply connected to the Lord, and externally, he just behaving like as if he were a fool. And we had seen how these robbers, they try to sacrifice him to Kali, but however, Kali came out of the DT and killed her own, the robbers, and saved Jarabharat. This is what we had seen last time. So now move on to the next one. So what happened to Jarabharat after this? So he was saved here. So let's second. Okay, Meena Mataji, you can read.
Jarabharat encounters King Raghuna. After his escape from Kali temple, Jarabharat continued his wanderings, remaining aloof from materialistic men. One day, as King Raghuna of Sauvira was being carried on a palanquin by men who were fatigued, realizing they would need another carrier to help them cross the Ikshumati river, the king's servants began searching for someone. They came upon Jarabharat, who appeared to be a good choice because he was very young and as strong as an ox. Jarabharat agreed to follow their order. But because he saw all living beings as his brothers, Jada Bharat could not perform this task very well. As he walked, he kept stopping to make sure that he did not step on any ants. Unaware of what was causing the sudden jolts, King Raguna shouted, "What's going on? Can't you carry the palanquin properly?"
So here you can see that he was very careful not to harm ants on the ground. He doesn't want to step on any ants and cause any distress harm to ants. Um, so even though sometimes when we are doing one activity, one service, we may not be take care of the other aspects. Here, like he was carrying the palanquin, but
Palanquin.
at the same time, he was very, very careful not to hurt these ants. Um, yeah, carry on, please.
Hearing the threatening voice of the king, the frightened servants replied that the new man, Jada Bharat, was causing the disturbance. The king angrily chastised Jada Bharat, sarcastically accusing him of carrying the palanquin like a weak, skinny, tired old man. But Jada Bharat, who understood his true spiritual identity as spirit soul, knew that he was not this body. Therefore, Jada Bharat remained unaffected by the king's angry criticism. Jada Bharat remained silent and kept carrying the palanquin as before, but the king, being unable to control his temper, shouted, "You rascal, what are you doing? Don't you know that I am your master? For your disobedience, I shall now punish you." Jada Bharat instructs King Rahuguna. "My dear king," said Jada Bharat, "the body may be fat or thin, or weak or strong, but no learned man would say such things about the real soul within. You think you are the Lord and Master, and you are therefore trying to command me. But this is also incorrect, because these positions are temporary. Today you are a king, and I am your servant. But in our next lives, our positions may be reversed. The Vedas explain that the human beings in this material world are like actors on a stage. On stage, one actor may play the role of a master, and another one may play the role of a servant, but they are both actually the servants of the director. In the same way, all living entities are the servants of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. King Raghuna, who had been trained in spiritual science, was astonished to hear the teachings of Jadabharat. Recognizing him as a saintly person, the king quickly descended from his palanquin. He gave up his material conception of being a great monarch, and he offered obeisances and inquired from him submissively. Vedas declare that everyone, even kings, must approach a spiritual master to gain knowledge of the soul and process of reincarnation. Charabharat then explained how the soul, due to uncontrolled mind and ignorance of his identity, wanders throughout the unlimited universes in different species of life. Charabharat then revealed his own past lives. In a previous birth, I was known as King Bharat. I was fully detached from the material activities and engaged in the service of the Lord, but I relaxed my control over my mind and became so attached to a small deer that I neglected my spiritual duties. At the time of death, I could think of nothing but the deer. So in my next life, I had to accept the body of a deer.
Please.
Of saintly association. Jadabharat concluded that in the assembly of pure devotees, there is no question of discussing material subjects like politics and sociology. Rather, there is discussion only of the qualities forms, and pastimes of the Supreme Lord, who is praised and worshipped with full attention. This is a simple secret by which one can cut illusion into pieces, end the vicious cycle of reincarnation, and return back home, back to Godhead.
Thank you.
Thank you. Haribol.
Okay, so why do you think Jada decided to speak out, um, in connection with Rahugana? Even though in the previous case, previously when he was when the robbers were ready to sacrifice him, chop his head off in front of Kali, he still kept quiet, right? But here, um, King Rahugana chastised him, um, chastised and teased him and criticized um, uh, Jada because he was not stepping on the ants and he was just moving, um, not in a straight manner. Um, so as a result of that, the palanquin was not steady. So Jada did not tell that he was doing that, right? And the king thought, the king Rahugana, he thought this guy, is not able to carry the palanquin, although externally, looks very stout and strong, but he's not able to carry the palanquin. So he indirectly, um, kind of teased him, saying, "Oh, like you are an old man, you are thin, like that." So, but he did not keep quiet here. He kept quiet when robbers were about to chop his head off, but he did not do so. So, what are the reasons? Who would like to say?
May I make a comment? I'm not sure it's correct though.
So, yeah, go on.
Is it to do with the fact that the king had some qualities and knowledge, and
Yeah.
he was educating him?
Exactly.
And ourselves as well.
That's a wonderful point. Yes, Manjurada Mataji, did you want to say?
Yes, Prabhu, two possibilities. An advanced devotee can usually make out who will be receptive to the knowledge. And the other thing was that usually the knowledge was given to kings. So maybe he thought that if I give it to a kingly person, he might be able to benefit the rest of the society. So those are the possibilities I could think of.
Yeah, we discussed this. These 2 points, we discussed this. We discussed. Anyone else want to add?
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Purna Mataji, go on.
Prabhuji, I think as per our class, in the class, it was discussed, why he opened his mouth only now. And he was going to meet a saintly person. I can't remember the name of the sage now, but King Rahuguna was on his way to meet a sage because he wanted to understand the philosophy of life.
Yeah.
And that time, Jadbharat thought that if he is going to, I think he's going to present himself before Agastya Muni. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Um, and if he is not, and to even to present before a saint like of his stature, he needs to have basic, humility and basic eligibility. And so Jadabharat thought that it was important for him to instill and have those qualities before he presents himself before such a big sage for that learning process.
Yeah, so good. These are wonderful points, and now we understand his behavior also. How we can see from some of the verses. We will read some of the verses. Let me share the screen. So what did the king do when he realized that he made a mistake? He had made a mistake. He had offended. Jadabharat immediately broke his silence, and he started speaking philosophy, spirituality. He was talking about the body and soul like that. So, then he realized actually he had offended a saintly person. The king had realized that he had offended. Immediately, he got down from this palanquin, and he begged for pardon from Jada Bharat. So this is what a saintly person does. We all make mistakes, but a saintly person, when a saintly person does a mistake, immediately the saintly person will seek apology, will accept it, regret, repent, and not repeat. Uh, I always mention the story of Parikshit Maharaj. When he took that dead snake and put it around the neck of Shamik Muni, um, you know, and left, from that place. Left. While he was going home, he was thinking that actually I made a mistake of putting this dead snake around the neck of Shamik Muni. For this offense, I must get some punishment. This is what he was thinking. I think I mentioned a couple of days ago, I don't know, in which class I mentioned, but, First Canto, chapter 18 or 19, it talks about repentance, completely repenting. And this is a character. When you repent, Paramatma in your heart will forgive you. Ideally, when we should repent and not repeat. Yeah. So, but in contrary, what is the contrary to this? When a person is not so saintly, how does that person behave? When that person is, when that person commits an offense, and how does later people point out that that person had committed an offense? How does a non-devotee behave? Padma Matsaji, who would like to tell?
They would behave in a very rude way and blaspheme them, and in a very angry way.
Yeah, very angry, and they they're not only defensive, but they say that they will try and throw dirt on you first.
Yeah.
It's not me who committed the offense. Actually, it's you who committed the offense. Um, this is character of a non-devotee. So saintly person like King Raugana, you can understand. A devotee immediately beg forgiveness. So from his behavior also you can understand he's a devotee. Yes, sometimes because of the conditioning, we say something. Conditioning forces us to act in certain way. But when we come to our senses, we should accept and seek apology. And so this is my favorite verse. Some of you know that. So this is what he said to Jada Bharat. Rahugana spoke to Jada Bharat, and this is what he said. Naham vishanke suraraja vajran nat Tatra yaksha shulan yamasya dhandat Nagnya Nagyarka Somanila Vittapastras Shanke Brusham Brahma Kula Vamanat. Padmamata, you want to read the translation?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. My dear sir, I'm not at all afraid of the thunderbolt of King Indra, nor am I afraid of the serpentine piercing trident of Lord Shiva. I do not care about the punishment of Yamaraja, the superintendent of death, nor am I afraid of fire, scorching sun, moon, wind, nor the weapons of Kuvera. Yet I'm afraid of offending a Brahmana. I'm very much afraid of this.
Read the purport also, please.
Yes, Prabhuji. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was introducing Rupa Goswami at the
Instructing.
Dasav. Oh, so I'm so sorry, my
No,
glasses
it's okay.
are missing. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was instructing Rupa Goswami at the Dasavamedha Ghata in Prayaga, he pointed out very clearly the seriousness of offending a Vaishnava. He compared the Vaishnava aparadha to Hathi Mata, a mad elephant. When a mad elephant enters a garden, it spoils all the fruits and flowers. Similarly, if one offends a Vaishnava, he spoils all his spiritual assets. Offending a Brahmana is very dangerous, and this was known to Maharaja Rahugana. He therefore frankly admitted his fault. There are many dangerous things: thunderbolts, fire, Yamaraja's punishment, the punishment of Lord Shiva's trident, and so forth. But none is considered as serious as offending a Brahmana like Jadabharata. Therefore, Maharaja Rahugana immediately descended from his palanquin and fell flat before the lotus feet of the Brahmana Jadabharata just to be excused.
Any points you want to share from that?
Very scary, Prabhuji.
Very scary. Why very scary?
I think with this conditioning that we have and the material world and our upbringing so far, it's almost impossible not to commit the offenses. And I just felt when I learned about those 10 offenses and all this, I felt it's so easy to do it if you're not aware of doing them. Then, and also I found that it's very difficult to stop yourself from doing them. But that's okay too. If you realized it, go back, accept, and ask for forgiveness, and move on, and not to repeat them again.
Especially, offense to a Vaishnava, pure devotee will have a severe consequence. Okay, so we will read a little more. And so being pleased with the attitude of Rahugana, Jadabharat, had a longer discussion. He kept quiet and now he spoke so much, from chapter 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He kept quiet all these days. So in chapter 12, so is that chapter 12? Yeah, 11, sorry. So he talks about the mind while instructing Rahugana. Jadabharat talks about the mind, and he says mind is the main main problem. It is the root cause root cause, and it is keeping us in the material world. You have senses, above the senses mind. What it does is unfocuses. If mind focuses on one of the senses, we do that activity. Yes. So mind is the main thing, but how to conquer this mind is given here by by Jadabharat to Rahugana. So this is a famous statement. If you remember well, we discussed this. Gurur Haresh Charanopasanastra. Charanopasanastra. Astra means weapon. What is the weapon? Serving the lotus feet of Guru and Hari becomes a weapon to control this mind. So please, somebody read. Padmamati, you can read. Your hand is still raised, so you can read this. Hare Krishna, can't hear.
Sorry, Prabhuji. I can't even see the mute button without the glasses. I'm very sorry. But I can't see the screen
Either.
with the
Okay.
words on them.
Okay. Maybe someone else, please.
I can
I
read.
can read.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. This uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O king, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care.
Read the purport also, please.
Sure, Prabhuji. There is one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered: neglect. The mind is always telling us to do this or that. Therefore, we should be very expert in disobeying the mind's orders. Gradually, the mind should be trained to obey the orders of the soul. It is not that one should obey the orders of the mind. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that to control the mind, one should beat it with shoes many times, just after awakening and again before going to sleep. In this way, one can control the mind. This is the instruction of all the Shastras. If one does not do so, one is doomed to follow the dictations of the mind. Another bona fide process is to abide strictly by the orders of the spiritual master and engage in the Lord's service. Then the mind will be automatically controlled. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed Srila Rupa Goswami. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bija. When one receives the seed of devotional service by the mercy of the Guru and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's real life begins. If one abides by the orders of the spiritual master, by the grace of Krishna, is freed from service to the mind.
Yeah. Do you want to share any points from here, Purnamataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, it brings back the memory of the play that we saw in the temple the other day, Beat the Mind.
Yeah.
So it reinforces the point that beat the mind. And here, now I know the reference, probably I'll not forget it. That Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that, beat the mind every day, every morning before waking up and going back to sleep. And don't be a servant of the mind. Try and make mind as the servant of the soul, which is very hard. But the process is also given that if you listen to spiritual master and surrender yourself unto the service of the Lord, then your mind will be purified.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
The service to Guru and Hari. So we should continue to render service to Guru and Hari. So that is that, that way one can conquer the mind. So this is the famous one. I mentioned, if you remember well, one of the Prabhupada disciples. He quotes this verse very often. When he was a young brahmachari in ISKCON Juhu temple. So there were so many issues there, and the land was sold to ISKCON, but later the landlord realized the price has gone up significantly. The land has appreciated significantly, wanted it back. So this devotee of disciple of Prabhupada was very much involved, and so he was a brahmachari at that time. They sent a prostitute to him, and you know, it was very, very. He says it was tempting, but he remembered this particular verse. So how can I control? So he remembered this famous verse, and just thinking of Srila Prabhupada, he could conquer the mind desires. So he often quotes this particular verse. Okay, so further instructions of King, Jada Bharat Raukana. Who would like to read?
I bought my glasses, Prabhuji. I can read now.
You can read now. Glasses represents spiritual master. So yes, so yeah, Prabhupada says that. So who is spiritual master? Like this, you can see better. When you have a spiritual master, you see better. Like that. Okay, let's read this. Can't hear.
Okay. Simply by associating with exalted devotees, anyone can attain perfection of knowledge, and with the sword of knowledge can cut to pieces the illusionary associations within the material world. Through the association of devotees, one can engage in the service of the Lord by hearing and chanting Shravanam Kirtanam. Thus, one can revive his dormant Krishna consciousness and, sticking to the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, return home, back to Godhead, even in this life. Purport.
Yeah.
To become liberated from material bondage, one must give up the association of worldly people and accept the association of devotees. Positive and negative associations are mentioned in this regard. Through the association of devotees, one develops Krishna consciousness, which is dormant within. This Krishna consciousness movement is giving this chance to everyone. We are giving shelter to everyone who is serious about progressing in Krishna consciousness. We arrange for their lodging and board so that they can be peacefully cultivate Krishna consciousness and return home back to Godhead even in this life.
Yeah. So thank you. This was Jada Bharat instructs that it's mainly associating with the 60 people, is the way to attain the perfect knowledge. And in the association means, devotees together, they go to cinema. It's not the association. Sometimes they go together. Yes, we are associating, but as soon as you say association, what should be there?
Krishna.
Yes, hearing and chanting should be there. So if this is there, that is the association. Or otherwise, just devotees come together and chit-chat, gossip, something else. That is not the association. So when we come together, ideally, it should be Shravanam, Kirtanam should be there. And this way one can revive always remember, association means discussion. Shravanam, Kirtanam should be there. Hearing and explaining. Kirtanam means explaining. Also chanting. Kirtanam means glorifying the Lord. So Jada Bharat highlights this point very much. The association is needed. Okay. So we'll read one more. Yeah, maybe another devotee. Let's give a chance to another. Manjurada Mataji, you want to read? We can't hear you if you're there.
I can read.
Yeah, please.
Having summarized the teachings of Jadaparata, Shukadeva Goswami said, "My dear King Parikshit, the path indicated by Jadaparata is like the path followed by Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, and the ordinary kings are just like flies. Flies cannot follow the path of Garuda, and to date, none of the great kings and victorious leaders could follow this path of devotional service, not even mentally. While in the prime of life, the great Maharaj Bharata gave up everything because he was fond of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Tamashloka. He gave up his beautiful wife, nice children, great friends, and an enormous empire. Although these things were very difficult to give up, Maharaj Bharata was so exalted that he gave them up just as one gives up stool after evacuating. Such was the greatness of His Majesty. Shukdev Goswami continued, My dear king, the activities of Bharata Maharaj are wonderful. He gave up everything difficult for others to give up. He gave up his kingdom, his wife, his family. His opulence was so great that even the demigods envied it. Yet he gave it up. It was quite befitting a great personality like him to be a great devotee. He could renounce everything because he was so attracted to the beauty, opulence, reputation, knowledge, strength, and renunciation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Krishna is so attractive that one can give up all desirable things for his sake. Indeed, even liberation is considered insignificant for those whose minds are attracted to the loving service of the Lord. Even though in the body of a deer, Maharaj Bharata did not forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, when he was giving up the body of a deer, he loudly uttered the following prayer. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is sacrifice personified. He gives the results of ritualistic activity. He is the protector of religious systems, the personification of mystic yoga, the source of all knowledge, the controller of the entire creation, and the super soul in every living entity. He is beautiful and attractive. I am quitting this body, offering obeisances unto him, and hoping that I may perpetually engage in his transcendental loving service. Uttering this, Maharaj Bharata left his body.
Just one,
Devote.
just 1 second. This prayer he offered while giving up the body of
Give
a
body.
deer. Yeah, body of deer. This is what he offered. Okay, so this is the Palashruti. What do you get by hearing the pastime of Bharat Maharaj? Okay, Lalita Priti.
Devotees interested in hearing and chanting Shravanam Kirtanam regularly discuss the pure characteristics of Maharaj Bharata and praise his activities. If one submissively hears and chants about the all auspicious Maharaj Bharata, one's lifespan and material opulences certainly increase. One can become very famous and easily attain promotion to the heavenly planets or attain liberation by merging into the existence of the Lord. Whatever one desires can be attained simply by hearing, chanting, and glorifying the activities of Maharaj Bharata. In this way, one can fulfill all his material and spiritual desires. One does not have to ask anyone else for these things, for simply by studying the life of Maharaj Bharata, one can attain all desirable things.
So your comments, Lalita Priti?
After hearing Maharaj Bharata's story, when he wants to perpetually engage, why other people may desire heavenly planets?
Yeah. So, the Palashruti is given the fruit that one gets by hearing. So whatever you want, you'll get it. But devotees, they ask for service. Mama janmani janmani ishvare bhavatad bhaktire avaiti vaye. So, birth after birth after birth, um, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I want to render devotional service unto you. Maharaj Parikshit also says, if I had to take birth again, He knows that he's going to leave his body in 7 days with snake bite, but he's requesting all the sages. Yeah, he's hoping he can go back to Godhead. But however, if he had to take birth again, he asked for 3 things. Let there be, I would like to have the association of devotees all the time, and I would like to have unlimited attraction to the Supreme Lord, and I would like to have friendly relationship with every living entity. These are the kind of things that devotees ask for. So they ask for bhakti, service, association with the devotees. This is what they ask for. Arya Devi.
If before in Jada Bharat's previous life as a deer, at the time of death, if he was glorifying the Supreme Lord and his thoughts were about the Supreme Lord, how come he had to take birth again as Jada Bharat and didn't go straight to the Lord, to Krishna?
We covered this in the last class, actually.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't there.
No. Worries. Who would like to say? If you see his prayer, you did not want to liberate. This was the prayer in the body of deer. And what he says, hoping that I may perpetually engage in his transcendental loving service. So he doesn't want to go back to Godhead. He wanted to engage perpetually in the service of God. You're right. So because he wanted that, Lord has given. Also, I think some or other our King Raugana needed his association. There is arrangement of that as well. But when you are thinking of the Lord, Prabhupada said, if you are in the temple, if you are in Krishna, even if you are at home, you are in Vaikuntha, if you are in the consciousness. Now reading Bhagavatam means this time we are in the Vaikuntha. We are in Vaikuntha. So it's not about the the real place, but here you can see his prayer was he wanted to perpetually engage in the service of the Lord. So that's the reason, Lord. But they don't mind. Basically, they don't mind. As long as he was fully absorbed, isn't it? They don't mind taking another birth again. The main thing is consciousness, having consciousness. If you have the consciousness, we are in Vaikuntha. So that's what I can say. Okay. Any other comments, questions? So I will have to stop it early today. And so from next class onwards, we will discuss the structure of the universe. It's all a different moods, completely different mindset. So different measurements and things like that we will discuss in the next session. Arya, did you raise your hand or is that old hand? Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha krupa sindhubhya patapatitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Oh.